Somebody save me. Hey, what can I say? That's the kind of song that just kind of sticks in your head after you hear it for a little while. And after I rewatched Smallville Season 1, that song was playing in my head over and over again for like a week straight. And I just kept singing it randomly around people. What's up, guys? I am here to talk about Smallville Season 1. It's been a long time coming. I should have talked about this months ago, maybe even years ago. For a big Superman fan like me, it's almost sacrilegious and blasphemy that I haven't addressed Smallville, which is like the biggest show based on Superman, like, I don't know, ever, or at least since the 2000s. I'm going to assume that 98 or 99% of the population at least knows what Smallville is, and if not, I would assume that 80% of that 98% has seen Smallville, like from season to season, so I'm assuming you're gonna know what I'm talking about when I give some mild spoilers here. If not, I mean, you could always exit the video, and don't let the exit video button hit you where the good Lord split you. Superman is gonna be making his big screen return in Justice League later on in November this year, and I figured why not go back to the beginning and talk about one of Superman's beginnings, which is Smallville, which deals with Clark Kent before he becomes Superman. Right off the bat, that's a really interesting idea to deal with the idea of Superman before he actually becomes Superman. To see Clark Kent have to grow and develop, get enemies, and have to learn how to use his powers, and have to go through a whole bunch of trials and tribulations to build up the character and the mythos of Big Blue. I think that's a really awesome idea. So right off the bat, when this show came out, I was really interested in it. I really wanted to see where it went, and I was a huge Smallville fan up until probably around season 5 or 6 when things started to go, you know, where stuff in the toilet goes. I would say the crux of season 1 deals with the repercussions and the ramifications of Clark coming to Earth, and it deals with this meteor shower that came with him when he landed.
It's the day of the meteor shower. This is how you came into our world, son. What are you trying to tell me, Dad?
It's not just the meteor shower itself, and it's not just him being Kryptonian and an alien from another planet, and him growing up and learning that he has these abilities, he has these powers, he doesn't know how to use all of them, he doesn't really understand all of them, but he's still developing and growing and trying to figure it all out. But then you see the meteor shower itself has affected a lot of people in and around Smallville. In fact, a large portion of this season, which is kind of a villain of the week type of thing, most of the villains of the week in this season deal with the after effect of the meteor shower and how that affected people and changed them and gave some people powers and changed people's mindsets. Hell, one of the main characters in season 1 is Lana Lang, who is pretty much Clark's love interest, and they have kind of this flirtatious little tender, oh, I want you and I want you, but I don't know if I want you, and then, you know, that kind of back and forth bullshit that teenagers go through. It turns out her parents were actually wiped out by the meteor shower, so again, I love the fact that Clark's entrance and his appearance in Smallville and him developing his powers has wide-ranging ramifications and effects on everybody around him. In that sense, it makes the Villain of the Week episodes and it makes the Villain of the Week storylines kind of interesting because you know that it all ties into the main narrative of Clark is on Earth and shit's going down.
One town's tragedy becomes one man's journey.
My parents died when I was 3.
It's all my fault. We wanted to protect you. Protect me from what?
I feel like I should talk about Clark for a second. He's played by Tom Welling. I might say brilliantly, by the way, and it's also kind of shocking to look back at this series in 2001 and realize how young he looked back then. I mean, he still looked like an underwear model, but he looked like a statutory rape underwear model. He looked like a statutory model. And nowadays, he's kind of grown, he's seasoned, he still somehow looks like an underwear model. And I guess that's more of a referendum on how old I've gotten, as well as how much the show has aged. But he does a great job playing a young Clark Kent in this show. He's everything that I think a young Clark Kent would be. I mean, he's a guy that's still conflicted, he's still trying to find his way in the world, he's driven by hormones, hence his huge crush on Lana Lang for most of the season. He's got some friends, he's a regular guy, he's a good guy, he's been raised with good morals, good values, but he still feels, you know, human, like us. It's not like he gets these powers and he's like, oh yeah, wow, this is awesome. No, he gets these powers and he's kind of like, oh, well, this is kind of a tough thing for me to deal with, but I'm gonna try. I love the scene where he's trying to figure out how to do his heat vision and he's talking with his dad, and his dad is like, hey, well, if you want to find the off switch, you have to find the on switch first. And it's just so typical that Clark can't do it until he gets a boner.
Come on.
Dad, this might be easier if I was alone.
Yeah. Sorry.
Lana.
Hey, basically says, hey, Dad, go away so I can think about Lana, because, oh, Lana, oh, heat vision. It's working. Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, heat vision. Tom Welling, he was perfect for this role. He killed it in this role. He develops and gets even better as the seasons go along. But if we're just talking about season 1, this was a great introduction to the character of Clark Kent, and it's really fascinating to see him develop these powers and see the interesting directions that his character does go. I would say, personally, my favorite dynamic of season 1 of Smallville is the relationship between him and Lex Luthor, played brilliantly by Michael Rosenbaum. Now look, I've seen a lot of Lex Luthor in my life. I've seen Lex Luthor from the older movies. Obviously, we have the animated Lex Luthors to go on. We've got new Luthor in the DCEU. But for my money, I don't think I've seen a Lex Luthor that was played as well as Michael Rosenbaum. Michael Rosenbaum is the perfect Lex Luthor in my opinion. He's absolutely brilliant. I mean, not only does he capture the calculated intelligence and the cold-blooded smarts of a Lex Luthor, but he also has a really genuine relationship and friendship with Clark Kent. Yeah, he basically runs into Clark Kent. He like runs him over basically, and the car goes off the bridge, and then Clark saves his life, and they end up being best buds. This season allowed you to explore more of Lex Luthor's humanity. You find out he does have daddy issues. You find out the real reason why he is in Smallville and why he's not in Metropolis. Even though he seems like he can be charming when he wants, and he seems like he has that charisma and that intelligence to speak down to people as well as speaking people up. But you could just tell there's this simmering darkness and rage and hatred underneath. You could just see it. You can tell. And ever since Clark saves him, you can also see him looking at Clark out the side of his eyes. Kind of like, okay, so how did you save me? How did you survive? How did that happen? I'm not going to call bullshit on this yet, but I really want to know. Over the course of the season, you see Luthor is very fascinated with the meteors. He's very fascinated with the people infected by the meteors. He's really trying to figure out what all this shit means. Once again, this all leads to some pretty compelling drama because Clark has to kind of keep his secret from Luthor, and he has to keep his secret from his other friends, like Pete Ross at school and Chloe. By the way, in this season, Pete Ross, his friend, is played by a black guy, and it's kind of weird because in Man of Steel, he's played by a white guy. And I feel like if social media was around or more prevalent back in 2001, maybe people would have been like, political correctness, you gotta make them black because you just want to make them black. Racists. Luckily, 2001 was a much more simpler time for our country, so I don't think we heard a whole lot of that going on back then. Either way, the supporting characters play their role. Pete Ross is pretty cool. Chloe's pretty cool. She has a crush on Clark the entire time. Another cool thing that I noticed while rewatching this is Amy Adams. I had almost forgotten that Amy Adams was in the show. Yeah, Amy Adams, who plays Lois Lane in the current DCEU live-action movie. Yeah, she played a villain of the week in Smallville Season 1. It really is a small world. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one. That was pretty good. Small world, Smallville, that's... Yeah, I know. She seems like Parasite, except she feeds on human fat or something like that. So that was pretty cool. And the references, the Easter eggs, the characters, everything does a great job in this first season of laying the foundation of what is to come. It's a great way to build Clark up and to see him developing his X-ray vision, developing his heat vision, figuring out how fast he is. It all culminates with a really crazy finale with tornadoes, because again, they're in Kansas, and why wouldn't there be tornadoes and twisters in Kansas for a finale? The intro song is really good, but also the other songs that they have peppered throughout the first season, those are really cool as well. Smallville Season 1, it's everything that you would actually need for an origin story for Superman. It builds up a really interesting arc with him and Luthor, and how it's a friendship that you can tell is going to lead towards some rivalry and some feuding. They build up Lex Luthor, they build up the supporting characters. Lana Lang's not that annoying in Season 1. But since I am a so-called critic and I have to review and rate the thing, I'm gonna say it's Superman Prime. It's a young Superman with Superman Prime potential. Those are my thoughts on Smallville Season 1. Please comment below. Let me know, what are your favorite moments from Season 1 of Smallville? Favorite episode, favorite character? Let me know down below. Don't be afraid to share. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. And as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel. And stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.